So excellent thoughts by Nathan. Uh, I understand the need for developing some kind of cognitive immunity. And we are seeing how AI is accelerating the world towards more chaos. We've seen it country after country. We've seen Bangladesh, we've seen Nepal, and this would be attempted everywhere, including this place. And this involves young, impressionable minds. Now, we would have heard the stories of the ant and the grasshopper. I have another story to tell. It's called the grasshopper and the locust. If you take two pictures, one of the grasshopper and one of the locust, you'll see they're entirely different people. The grasshopper is basically a solitary kind of insect. It doesn't interact much. It doesn't interact much with other grasshoppers. It is, solitarily eating what it needs. It doesn't fly much. Check the locust. This bugger is some kind of bahubali. It's striped, it's bright colored, it's strong, and it can fly, if required, kilometers. The irony is the grasshopper and the locust are the very same person. Exactly same person. Right? Like Jekyll and Hyde. How does a grasshopper become a locust? So when grasshoppers increase in density, they start bumping into each other. When they bump into each other, a kind of a signal, goes into their mind. Ting. There's a rush of a neurotransmitter called serotonin. And when many grasshoppers start jostling with each other, this serotonin starts increasing. You understand where I'm going with this? Click, like, comment, share. So these grasshoppers, more jostling of grasshoppers, more of serotonin build up, and then start something called neuromodulation. That at a particular time, this thing flips, and they change from grasshopper into locusts. Their bodies change, they become brightly colored, they become very powerful, they develop wings which can fly, and they start acting like a superorganism. And the superorganism is deadly. It can create famines, it can eat farms within hours. Imagine this, the solitary grasshopper, which is doing its work, typing on a laptop, suddenly becomes this protester. And you would have seen this country after country. That's how individuals who are non-violent, who have nothing to do with violence, suddenly, when put in a group, become violent. Can you put that slide? I had a slide to put up. I had one slide to be put up. What I intend to tell you is that what controls the transition from a species which is not so pernicious, malicious, to something which is so dangerous is this flip, is this neuromodulation. And in terms of human, this is a very parallel thing, where there are individual protesters, and there's a switch which is flipped, a neuromodulation which happens, and all these people become an angry mass. And ironically, this neuromodulation is happening with a device in your pocket. It's happening on the phone, on the internet. I had one slide to be put up. Can you put it up? Ask them, if the HTML is not working, they can put the PDF. The thing is here that how are these platforms primed for protests? Because see, what is the platform doing? In a general sense, this platform wants you to dwell on it, to share, to engage with it emotionally, right? And generally when something in small swarms becomes larger, then they want to put it on your feed. So if you closely analyze the algorithms of TikTok, of Twitter, of Facebook, of Instagram, you'll find that they are looking for this kind of emotional virality. And what is emotional virality? Is many people engaging with something. Many people engaging with something, many people engaging with something in an emotional manner, many people engaging with something in a small place, in a short window of time. Now, uh, what seems as something very natural, as young people getting very unhappy, maybe it Bangladesh, maybe it Nepal, you see, when it starts acting as a leaderless mass, there is something which has happened. There's no conspiracy theory here. There may be a foreign interference, there may not a foreign interference, there may be NGOs, there may not be NGOs, but the very technology of social media platforms is allowing for these large swarms to happen. This, like Nathan was saying, is now embedded into your mind, and how these platforms can control the minds of large amount of people is what we are decoding here. So there are engagement thresholds. There is no leader which is needed. It is the flipping of this switch. Once you flip this switch, then you have these protesters which are sitting at home, which are liking, which are sharing, they suddenly come out, right? They build Molotov cocktails, they start building barriers, they start attacking people. This change has been brought upon by a very engineered thing which exists inside social media platforms. And you'll be amazed to know that a smiley emoji has 5 times less weight than an anger emoji. So if you put an anger emoji in something, the chances of virality are very high. In Nepal, it started with one clip, which turned out to be fake. There was a gunshot sound and some screams, and this clip became viral. And this one clip, it was seen millions of times. It led to overthrow of a government. It went to young people attacking the parliament, overthrowing the government, literally killing the wife of the ex-prime minister. And what happened? After days, it just suddenly went off. No great change, no great revolution. So here, anger is a signal which is magnified. If you really want to, let's say, put good signals here, goodness doesn't travel. So fact checkers will tell you that fake news travels, but if you want to fact check it, it doesn't travel. And this is what has been algorithmized. And you need to note this. So the system basically takes out all this anger, all this junk, and starts spreading it by very specifically designed, maths, which is sitting inside these systems. And how? It is basically working on your guilt, that what kind of human being you are. If you're not sharing this, if you're not participating, you would have seen your own children. Children sitting in India were talking about Black Lives Matter. And I used to tell them, you are neither black nor white. How are you concerned? But there are certain protests which they want to. Or about, let's say, Palestine. There are so many conflicts going on in the world. But the fashionability, the cool factor of some protests is so that everybody wants to participate. And here, this is this guilt that, oh, you didn't share, you don't care, you're not a good human being. This is weaponized. And this is a built-in feature of the social media platforms. In fact, if you go into the details of these platforms, you'll sometimes find that they are not as innocent as they seem. Because the US has access to all data. US has an act called the Cloud Act. They have access to all data. And we, if we want to investigate, we do not have access to citizen data, even in case of a protest. And right from the London protest, you find that social media has been used to fuel protests, even post real-time things, live feed, mount counter surveillance on police, and so on and so forth. Right from Arab Spring, you saw so many countries, regimes were changed. This is the new instrument of regime change, which does not need a leader, which does not need much funding. It just needs this small neuromodulation. Also, what happens is that while you think that you are participating in a public square, you are actually participating in an echo chamber. Because you are interacting with very similar grasshoppers and bumping into each other and raising each other's dopamine. Grasshoppers use serotonin, you use dopamine. And this anger starts seething and increasing because you are in very small chambers which are amplifying. And then all these small chambers coalesce and there's an explosion of anger. And where does the tipping point come? So, the tipping point comes when there is a sufficient amount of, this virality. In Kenya, it was only 17 people who led to violent protests. 17 people decided how to hack the algorithms. So when these people are, even in Nepal, as soon as you start making something viral, so platforms have their policies of moderation. Now there are, methods of hash collision that you slightly change every time, or you put something on an image, or you, use like a local language combination, a Hinglish or something, wherein the algorithms can't catch it. So it's very difficult once this is out of the box, then it is very, very difficult to catch it. And you have been profiled for ads. This basically was for ads. Like Google knows the next 100 days what you're going to do, what you're going to eat, right? Whether you are veg, whether you're non-veg, whether you have upwas or not. It knows everything about you. Similarly, the social media platforms know everything about you. But imagine this, that if this is used for malicious purpose, and it does not require somebody trying to orchestrate it is just built in. That this kind of, vulnerability is built in. That what would you be triggered with, right? For example, in Maharashtra there are, or in Karnataka, you see these language warriors. So the algorithm knows exactly whom to trigger and how to trigger. So your identity is a weapon which can be weaponized. And irony is the platform profits. Every time, if there's a riot, if there's a protest, the platform profits. The platform profits because it is designed to increase virality. Every time you're angry, you're sharing, you're participating in something, it is a platform which is profiting. Not only that, you are creating real-time evidence that whenever protests happen, be it London protests, be it even the US university protests, later on, all this data is available, at least to US law enforcement. They don't give it to us, or they don't give it to Nepal, or they don't give it to other countries. They keep this. They have an act called Cloud Act, Clarification of Lawful Access to Overseas Data. China has a National Security Act wherein they have access to all data. And look at the investments in companies. If Chinese investment is going over a particular threshold, then China has the data. When we want to enforce law or rule of law in this space, then there's a pushback. And people say that you are stifling free speech. Once I was on a debate on TV, and the Google representative tells me that, there are too many requests from your state for content takedown. So I said, wait. He says that you need a court warrant. I said, wait. You decide what I see. You decide what I do not see. Who has given you the constitutional mandate? What is the process? What is the transparency of your algorithm? You are absolutely an unconstitutional body which is basically deciding what is free speech, and that too you're a profit-earning entity, right? Who has given them this right to again question somebody who's operating within the framework of law mandated by the Constitution of India, right? Within Article 19. So we are at a place where the platform is profiting. Hello? Yeah, the platform is profiting in every case, with everything. If a riot happens, it doesn't happen, it doesn't care. For this, it's business. And empathy is something which has been weaponized. So why do you see, you see these young children, they've seen so much of content which has been made to hack their empathy, which basically is goodness. These children are not idiots. They are really good people who want to do something, who want to see change, who want to see truth, who want to see good governance. But their empathy is weaponized. And by weaponizing their empathy, again, these platforms are profiting. The irony is that when you want to enforce a semblance of law, you can go for internet shutdowns, but by the time it is very late. In the protests, it has been seen today that protests are polymorphic. That as soon as you clamp down on the internet, they can, metamorphose into something which does not require internet. So today you have apps which do not require internet. There are Bluetooth meshes which can run for kilometers and kilometers. So protesters, they would not need internet. Everybody carrying a phone, they can run a Bluetooth mesh, and they can share information in real time even when you have shut down the internet. Because you are running things which are offline. You don't even require. In Nepal, what they did was, they had a QR code for content, and they pasted it. They took the physical QR code, made printouts of that, and they put it behind autos and vehicles. When people started scanning, it again started pinging. And this is what, they used to flip the threshold. So somebody is designing it very nicely. And look at the use of technology. In France, when protests were happening, the government shut down the internet, but the police was using Starlink. And like you guys are hackers, smart people, the police does not know that the protesters started using the police Starlink for communication. So police thought that they were using Starlink, but the protesters were using the police Starlink. So it's not going to be easy. So tomorrow's protests are not going to be easy because technologically, it's a great leveler, and there's no threshold. It's very easy, it's very cheap, it's accessible, available to everybody. So there's no off switch. Even if you shut down the internet, it has metamorphosed. It has metamorphosed into, local meshes. It has metamorphosed into QR codes pasted somewhere. And they still would have real-time communication when you would not have. Even if you have debunked something, that thing is still on because the memory never goes away. It has caused an emotional surge, and the emotional surge is not going away. And finally, I want to discuss something which is very important, that India came up with these rules, which were in 2021, which was the Digital Media Intermediary Ethics Code and things like that. So in 2021, India came up with these rules. And also the new laws in India, where we replaced the colonial laws, they contain enough to actually make the platforms responsible. Now, there's a time when we should talk to platform that for your profit, you cannot be overrunning countries. And they have done it again and again. You saw Arab Spring, you saw, regimes being changed, you saw heads of state being killed. Two, you saw what happened in Bangladesh, what seemed like, again, a Gen Z protest, turned out to be some kind of a jihadist takeover with an American puppet ruling who does not know how to rule. So it is leading to more chaos. And a democratically elected government was overthrown. For what? Nepal is not in a better situation. Bangladesh is not in a better situation. For whatever it is, their societies were running in a particular way, and there was a way for them to sort out their problems before you came and started giving serotonin to these grasshoppers and made them into locusts, which came out on the street, burnt out the parliament, overthrew a government. Now, we have made this algorithm into a sovereign. It is out of law. It started when the internet started with Section 230C of the Communications Decency Act of the USA, where it said that there's a safe harbor provision. The safe harbor provision says that anything posted on your platform, you are not responsible because it is user-generated content. Now, this safe harbor continued with Section 79 in the IT Act. But in the IT Rules 2021, India has said that the safe harbor provision goes away if we have given you enough warning. So India set up a 3-tier content moderation system wherein the user can complain that it is fake or that this content is improper or has been used out of context, so on and so forth. And if the platform doesn't act in a given time, which is a sufficient time, I think it's 72 hours, then the immunity goes away, the platform is responsible. They have a resident grievance officer to whom you can complain. And I think it's a time when we should sit down and do an A-B testing, right? We should, let's say, Cocoon can do it, or Zakaria can do it. We can take, let's say, 100 phones in a room, yeah, and do this experiment. And you see how a trending protest can be generated. You would have seen these social media managers that they can trend anything and they charge you. They say 5 lakh rupees, start trending for half an hour. 10 lakh rupees, trending for 2 hours. Full day trending, 15 lakh rupees, full day trending they can do. It's even cheaper nowadays. So somebody has hacked the algorithm. When they have hacked the algorithm, somebody can do it very easily. Somebody can do it for a protest. Now you can't let this kind of neuromodulation, large-scale neuromodulation, be in the hands of an algorithm which is under nobody's control. It is not in the control of TikTok. It is not in the control of Instagram. It is not in the control of Twitter. It has been primed. It has been primed in a way where it aggregates anger, where it aggregates negativity, where it starts then, once the switch is flipped, then it is on everybody's feeds. By default, it is on everybody's feeds. And then it starts this engagement which leads to this widespread burst of anger. See, the only difference between a nuclear reactor, which produces electricity, and a nuclear bomb is the rate of moderation, right? Just take away that hard water, just take away those cadmium rods, and every nuclear reactor will turn into a bomb. This is where we need to intervene. This is where we need to tell the platform that for your profit, don't start destroying democracies. Thank you so much.